Welcome back, Leo Lions. This is Mrs. Morgan with today's lesson on reflection. So we've done a translation, a slide. Now we're going to reflect something. Again, to help you remember the difference between all these, the FL in reflection is going to help you remember that now a reflection is a flip. So if you look at yourself in a mirror, it is a mirror image, but your face is flipped in the mirror. So that's kind of what we're doing here. We're going to flip a point or a shape over a line of reflection. So that's our next vocabulary term. What is a line of reflection? So that is where you're going to get the mirror image. So we're going to call this where both sides of that line are symmetrical. So what that means is if we fold at that line, both sides are the same. So fold that line, and then both sides match up or are the same. Now, we've talked about we're going to be doing several different things here. We're going to plot that point or the shapes, and we're actually going to physically reflect it over a certain line. That line of reflection can change. We may have to just apply a rule. So you notice we are going to have rules again. Or I may show two shapes on the coordinate grid, and you have to tell me then what is the line of reflection. So if we do not have the graph, and I just simply give you a point and say reflect this over the x-axis, I'm going to do different colors here. So over the x-axis, our rule is x negative y. So what that means is your ordered pair, the x-coordinate, it stays exactly the same. When I say negative y, think the opposite of y. So if the y-coordinate is positive, well, then it becomes a negative. But if the y-coordinate is negative, then a negative and a negative, that equals a positive. So when you see negative y, think of opposite. Okay, if we go over the y-axis, I'm going to do this in a different color so that when we go down and actually do this on the graph, you can see the pink will be over the x and the green will be over the y. So over the y-axis, again, notice we have the ordered pair, the little arrow. This is showing us the rule. In this case, our x is going to change to the opposite and the y stays exactly how it is. So again, don't let that negative x confuse you. It just means the opposite of x, okay? So let's start out with this first example. We're going to draw triangle JKL. So J is 0, 2. Be careful with your plotting points, and then always make sure that you label your points after you plot them. K is -3, -4. And then L is 5, -1. And once you have those 3 points, draw your triangle. Okay? Next, we're going to draw the image. Remember what we just drew was the pre-image. Now, notice we have triangle, J apostrophe K, so this is J prime, K prime, L prime. So we're going to reflect over the x-axis. Important that you know your axes. So x is your horizontal. So all we have to do is we're going to flip it over. So let's start with J, and you're going to just count how far away is J from the x-axis. It's 2 away. So we're going to go 2 in the other direction, and we're going to plot our new point right here, and we're going to label that J with an apostrophe. So we know that's the image of J. That's J prime. Do the same thing with K. So K is 1, 2, 3, 4 away from the x-axis. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 in the opposite directions. And now that is K prime. And last one, L is 1 away from the x-axis. So go 1 in the other direction. Looks like we're missing a interval there, that vertical line. And that is L prime. Again, once you have it drawn, then you could connect it. Now, I want you to think, if you fold at that x-axis, are these all going to then match up? Are those points going to be right on top of each other and be the same if you fold at that line? So that line of symmetry is our x-axis, okay? Now, you could, if you want, J we see is 0, -2, so you could pull those straight from the graph. But I also want you to make sure that if you don't have that graph, I'm going to cover it up and just use the rule. So up here in pink, the x-coordinate stays the exact same, it's 0, but the y switches to its opposite, -2. So let's do that with k, and then we'll check to see if it's correct on the graph. So x stays -3, y switches to its opposite, so +4. Same thing with L, x stays, and y switches to its opposite. So does that match up over here? K prime was -3, +4, that is correct. L prime 5, 1, that is correct. All right. So that's flipping over the x-axis. Now we're going to draw the image triangle. Look at how this is labeled. Now we have 2 apostrophes. So J double prime, K double prime, L double. That means we're making a third triangle. After reflection of, look at what we are reflecting. We are reflecting the new triangle we just drew, not the original one that I have in orange, but the pink one. And now we're going to reflect over the y-axis. Again, notice I'm doing it in green because up here I did y-axis in green. So I'm going to take the pink triangle, and it's a little hard because we're going to have 3 triangles on here, all kind of interlapping. And we're going to now look at it over the y-axis. So let's start with K. Doesn't matter which one you start with. So from the y-axis, it is 1, 2, 3 places away, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 in the other direction. Now when we label this one, it should be K double prime. Do that with L. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the opposite direction. Now that is L double prime. And J, notice it's on the y-axis. So it actually stays exactly where it's at. We don't want to move it because it's on it. So that's also J double prime. There's 2 labels on that one. Again, then we can form our triangle. Try and imagine that orange triangle not there and just the green and the pink. Again, if you fold at this y-axis, are all those points going to match up? Are they going to overlap? And they will. So that is correct. Okay? Now again, our ordered pairs. So let's bring down the J prime, K prime. That comes straight from up here. They're the exact same. So 0, -2. I'm pulling these. Oops, -3. I'm pulling these straight down from up here. And 5, 1. So now we want to apply this rule. So opposite of x, comma, y. So again, if we don't have that graph, so the opposite of x, well, in J prime, it's 0. The opposite of 0, it's 0. And y stays exactly how it is. K, the opposite of -3, so +3, and y stays. L prime, there's 5, so the opposite would be -5, and the y-coordinate stays the same. And again, we could double check, are those correct? J double prime is 0, -2. K double prime is 3, 4. And L double prime is -5, 1. So those are correct, okay? So we're going to do it both ways, where we physically do make the reflections on the graph, and then we also may just give you ordered pairs, and then you have to apply the rules correctly, okay? Now, next page, there's 2 lines that we may use, an x equals and a y equals. So I first want you to plot these points. So A, B, and C. A is 0, 1. B is 3, 4. And C is 5, 1. So there's our triangle ABC. But this time you're going to reflect over x equals -1. There is no rule for our x equals and our y equals. So x equals is always going to be a vertical line. And I'm leaving that blank because that -1, it could be +4. That may change. So you'll go to the x-axis and go to -1. and then there is a vertical line here. This is our new axis of symmetry, or our reflection. Sorry, our line of reflection. So now you want to reflect over that dotted line, and I want you guys to try and do that on your own, and then write those new ordered pairs, A prime, B prime, C prime. Okay? Now, the next one, again, they're close, not the same 3 ordered pairs. 0, 1, A is the same, B is the same, but now C is 5, negative 3. So again, first triangle, you will draw the pre-image, but this scenario, we are reflecting over the y equals negative 2. So any sort of y equals equation is going to be a horizontal line. And again, it just depends on what number's there. In this case, it's negative 2, so go to your y-axis and go down to negative 2, and then it is a horizontal line. So you're going to reflect that pre-image, that orange triangle, over that blue dotted line, and then again write your new ordered pairs, your images for those, okay? Then last one is you are actually going to find the line of reflection. So see where these points line up. Here is the original K, the pre-image, here's the image. N and N, so you can match up, make sure that your letters are correct, and then see where that line of reflection is. So that dotted line is where we would fold. That is the y-axis, so that's our line of reflection, okay? Do the same thing with this one and see if you can figure that out, and we will talk about the solutions for